Hi beautiful friends, welcome to 2021. I hope you're all settling in okay. It's a big year already and we're about to enter a couple of weeks of some really big astrology. In fact, some of the biggest astrology of 2021 is happening in January. First of all, I just want to send you all big love and blessings for this year, and very special respect and gratitude to Wurundjeri peoples of the Kulin Nations. I'm speaking to you from their lands, stolen, unceded lands, and I pay my huge respect to them and to their elders, past, present, and becoming. And a special shout out to all First Nations people who might be listening today. I hope you're out there. I know some of you are. And big special love to my family and friends in the West. Love you, mob. Love you all. Thank you so much for joining me today for the celestial weather. I'm going to continue to try and bring these updates when they feel relevant. At the moment, you know, there are weekly relevant updates. As I said, 2021 begins with some really potent, powerful astrology, and it is unfolding the bigger story of 2021 and what we're here to do, what we've already begun, the things that have started coming undone in 2020, and the new seeds and possibilities that we planted, maybe even fully without knowing or understanding what it is we've been planting. The old is going to continue crumbling away. The old way is on its way out, but not without a fight. January brings up some really, really volatile energy that is connected to, you know, expressions of revolution in some way, whether that is going to be actual or not. This really intense astrology begins today and it builds for the next, 2 weeks, culminating really on January the 20th, which is Inauguration Day. Explosive astrological signatures on that day and in the lead up. From here to there, we want to be working with the energies that we can align our higher intentions towards, of the planet's influences, the areas of our lives that they're currently activating. There is some really potent potential in this time and some very supportive energies as well, helping us to align with that higher expression of the planets that are being expressed through the skies at the moment. So today, the first of those expressions begins when Mercury is conjunct with Pluto at 24 degrees. Now, this kind of takes us back to the 6th of January 2020, when we had the first Sun-Pluto conjunction at 23 degrees. So this kind of reactivates part of that story, and we're going to have the Sun conjunct Pluto again on the 14th of January this year, which coincides with the Capricorn new moon. So this story is continuing to unfold. On the 6th of January 2020, right after the Sun-Pluto conjunction, the coronavirus was named. On the 9th was when the first death occurred in Wuhan. So there is this unfolding story. We're not finished with coronavirus yet. And today's Mercury-Pluto conjunction suggests that there is some information or story or communication that is emerging now, potentially, that has to do with what's been hidden, how that plays out in terms of coronavirus, we shall wait to see. But there is the potential for information to emerge in relation to what has not been known. At a more personal level, Mercury conjunct Pluto can be a very intense energy because it tends to bring up deep plutonic material. And that is often closely associated to our traumas, to our deep, really intense fears, and to our wounds. Pluto is the god of destruction, death, rejuvenation, rebirth, and riches. And Mercury is the god of communication, of the mind, of commerce and ideas. Pluto being the god of riches, and Mercury being the god of commerce, having this conjunction suggests that there could also be some big financial movements happening at the moment that are, perhaps disrupting some of the power dynamics that have been at play. In our personal lives, we may also encounter experiences of communication that feel, secretly aggressive or problematic. We might experience communications that trigger us and trigger our wounds when Mercury is conjunct Pluto. Whatever comes up in this time, and this message just remains the same all the time, really, but it's very important when Pluto is making a major aspect because the feeling is much more intense. Anything that is triggered now is coming up because Pluto is saying something about this no longer works for you, and actually it's keeping you trapped in a non-abundant state. And usually that stuff is stuff that we kind of cling to. It's really old. It's related to a very childlike part of ourselves often that fears letting it go. What will happen if it lets it go? So Pluto kind of rips it away from us. Mercury means that those kinds of feelings might be triggered. And if they are, that is a sign that we are ready to get down to those riches. We are ready to have the obstacles removed. And if we kind of say, okay, I surrender to what's happening, then Pluto works a lot more gently. When we resist and hold on and say, no, 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 don't take this from me, then it's really traumatic. So we don't want to be triggered into a traumatic response around the feelings that might be being sparked in communications with others, or perhaps just in ourselves. We might be feeling these deep feelings. I can't tell you how many times I have tried to do this video today, literally recorded it. Mercury, Pluto is communication that is, really problematic and a little bit traumatizing. And it's been a challenging day of communication for me, and it's definitely brought up deep-seated fears about what right I have to express these ideas here. And Pluto is connected to wounds of self-worth and feelings of domination. My psyche is trying to dominate me, keep me down. Don't do this. How are people going to see you? Blah blah blah. Mercury Pluto conjunct is intense, but it is wanting us to transform. It's giving us what we need to transform. The other thing that complicates this energy is that Mars is in what's known as the anaretic degree of Aries. It's been in Aries for 5 months. That is extraordinarily long. It's at the 29th degree. And that is a critical degree, and it is associated with Saturn, the 29th degree. So Mars in that Saturnine degree is also squaring Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, and Mercury loosely within 5 degrees. So the energy is pretty intense. There's this drive to do something, and again, that really familiar, 2020 familiar, restrictive force of Saturn going, nah, you're not moving forward yet. You got more work to do. That's the energy we're kind of dealing with at the moment. And it can feel really challenging, but it's productive. It is really productive. Something important is being restructured, reimagined, redesigned in a sense, and our ideas and our communication are all providing steps towards achieving that. Everything that happens right now, and for the next 2 weeks especially, always, but for the next 2 weeks, this intensely building celestial influences everything is important. On January the 7th, the story kind of begins to unfold in an interesting way. Mars enters Taurus. Venus ruled Taurus. Now, Mars has been in its ruling sign for 5 months, which is when he should be happiest at home, most powerful, but for the entire 5 months he's been squaring or squared by Saturn in a superior position, and he just hasn't been able to do anything, really. You know, he's been frustrated as hell. Actually, he's been doing a lot under the surface, but not in the way that Mars likes. You know, Mars just wants to get out there and go, you know, get stuff done and do things, take action, move forward. You know, don't sit around thinking about it all the time. But the benefit of us sitting around thinking about it all the time before we act is that when we take action, it can be really decisive, powerful action. So when Mars moves into Taurus, he is in his fall, actually, because Taurus is a Venus-ruled sign. But when Mars is in Taurus, actually he does some really beautiful, fantastic, exciting, luscious, sexy work. In Rome, Mars in Taurus was the gardener. Mars is going to be fertilizing the things, the seeds that we've planted in 2020, the things that we know are something. We don't know what yet. We don't know how they're going to grow, how fruitful they're going to be, but we know there's something, and we've been nourishing them. They have been germinating under the ground. Mars is in Taurus is the energy that pushes through the sprouts, through the earth. You know, it's a very masculine process, this kind of thrusting through the earth. So that's Mars energy. Anne Ortley also describes it as being like the bee, Mars being the bee going around fertilizing things in the garden, and all of us being really kind of excited by the amazing things that are starting to emerge that other people are doing. It's, you know, this is the beginning of that kind of Renaissance energy that comes after a plague. Not that we're finished with the plague yet, but it's beginning. Moving into this Venus-ruled sign is also really interesting because on the same day, Venus, well, actually, no, on January the 6th, Venus is conjunct the galactic center at 27 degrees of Sagittarius. That's really beautiful, feels really profound too, because she is ruling Mars, really. Mars is in her sign, so she's the boss, and he's answering to her, and she's on the galactic center saying, okay, what is at the center of all of this? What is the force that is holding us all in some kind of gravitational and other energetic motion, influence, etc.? So the galactic center is literally the center of the Milky Way galaxy, and our sun rotates around the galactic center, takes 240 million years to make a complete rotation. And it's also at the center of the galaxy is, we know now, it's been verified that there is a black hole at the center of our galaxy. So Venus is conjunct that black hole, which is completely unknown, but it is, you know, even in science fiction, it's like a portal to another realm, a portal to a bigger state of consciousness. It's in Sagittarius, the truth seeker, the house of God. So Venus is conjunct the house of God's galactic center. Venus is the goddess of love, of interpersonal love, of creativity, of diplomacy, of abundance. So there's this sense that we are able to align to that energy, to that Venusian love of a good life and of love and beauty and friendship. That is the connection to that cosmic intelligence, that cosmic center in ourselves and in the world, because we are part of cosmic intelligence. We are not at the top of cosmic intelligence in the cosmos. We are merely a part of it, a strand. We are strands in the web. So when she is in that position, and for some time coming, she is in a superior trine to Mars, which means that she is giving Mars, who is getting increasingly agitated and, potentially hostile, frustrated, prone to reactivity in some ways. Also, he's gentled by that place in Taurus as well. And with Venus making the superior trine to him, she's like, it's okay, babe. It's okay, Mars. You're okay. You can handle this. You know, just keep fertilizing. Keep fertilizing. Don't worry about those guys. Just keep fertilizing. So that's really beautiful. Mars wants us to take action on what we love, what we want, what we really, really, truly want. Venus leads us to what we love. So this is a beautiful creative dynamic between these two planets that is really spicing up this increasing intensity that we're going to be experiencing over the next couple of weeks. There's this beautiful context for it. So when things do become really intense, don't lose faith. There is a purpose, there is a rhyme, there is a reason. So what happens next? What have I got on my board? Also on the 7th, Mars is opposing the moon in Libra. So again, Libra is a Venus-ruled sign. Mars in opposition, any planets in opposition can signify an argument or a conversation between individuals because they're personal planets and they're in a conversational dynamic with each other. So we want to, you know, avoid obviously getting into reactive arguments especially if there is an opportunity to have a conversation that could be creative. Because that is what they're really well set up to do right now. There's so much beautiful creative energy that we want to just consciously align ourselves to. You know, the intention is enough just to say, okay, that's right, I want to aim towards that. It just does. So then on January the 9th, we have Mercury, who has moved into Aquarius by this stage, and is at 1 degree of Aquarius, squares Mars in Taurus. So again, squares are this very tense aspect that is so uncomfortable for us that we have to take action, and as a result, we're able to manifest new possibilities because we have to do something to change it. We just can't handle it the way it is. It's too intense. So squares are difficult, but great. Mercury in Aquarius is communicating something at a socially expansive level. It's about justice, it's about social justice, it's about equality in society. Mercury is wanting to communicate, to think in that bigger picture of how we can take things to the next level so that it's fair for everybody. And squaring Mars in Taurus, Mars, you know, is the planet of action and desire, and Taurus is often related to a money-related sign. It is a money-related sign, sorry. Can be associated with. So there's something, you know, that might emerge around economy and finance that is this tension between Mercury wanting to have justice for the people, and Mars in Taurus could reflect this an inability yet to allow that to manifest, and perhaps a resistance from those who currently hoard the wealth to letting it go so that everybody can have enough. That square is going to generate some kind of action that may be taken in that area. At the same time, Venus enters 0 degrees of Capricorn, and that's going to be really interesting as well. We are approaching, you know, a massive series of stelliums in Capricorn and Aquarius from the 14th of January, or even the 12th it starts happening, up until the 20th. That's when things are going to be really intense. Venus has just moved into Capricorn, and she is wanting us to aim high and to do the work towards that ambition. She's like, okay, what's the project? It's got to be achievable, and it's got to have a high ambition. And so she is going, and it's got to be something that she loves to do, that we love to do, that we're like, yep, I'm going to work on this, and I know it's going to take me time, but I'm going to do it, and I'm going to love doing it because this is something I care about. This is something I believe in, and I really enjoy doing it. So that's really nice energy for Venus, especially coming forward into that more intense time. With Venus in Capricorn, she is a medicine for us during that intensity. We want to create some kind of project for ourselves that we can continue to work on during this process of building intensity. Something that we are working on, you know, Mars is fertilizing it, you know, in the garden around us, and Venus in Capricorn's like, okay, how do I make this more what I love, and what does it need now, and how do I make it more, you know, how do I meet what I love and bring what I love into the world in whatever way, whether that's in the kitchen, in your relationships, at work, in your creativity, wherever that shows up. So yeah, Venus is still trining Mars and also Uranus and Lilith. So Uranus is the planet that's going to be activated in February with the square to Saturn, but it's going to be activated before that when Mars is conjunct Uranus on January the 20th. That's the moment we're building to, which could be really potent because the moon is also conjunct with Mars and Uranus. Yeah, big. And Mars is squared Jupiter that day as well. Really big. We'll go into that another time, but having that influence of the Venus trine on Mars, Uranus and Lilith again is a softening and a supportive energy, and it really does want us to focus our energy into working on something we love that's growing, that's we're building towards something. Then on January the 10th we have Mercury conjunct Saturn. I was going to do this update from the 5th to the 9th, and then I realized that Mercury was conjunct Saturn, and I thought I better include the 10th now because I might not be able to speak on January the 10th when Mercury is conjunct Saturn. You know, Saturn is the planet of restrictions, limitations, blockages. It can be a heavier energy, but it's also the energy that wants us to do it again and try again and keep working and get better at things. So I imagine if I did this video on that day, I might have to do it 20 times. Maybe, you know, I've done it almost that many times today. The other thing that happens on January the 10th is that Venus is trine Mars, which it has been all week. I've already mentioned that a bunch of times, but it's exact on January the 10th, which suggests to me that it may be a difficult day for outward communication, communicating in the world. It's both planets are obviously in Aquarius, so there is a real social setting. So there may be just some challenges in terms of communicating with friends or with one's community or in networks. But with Mars trine Venus or Venus trine Mars, there feels like some really, you know, there could be some real creative potential in that day too. That means that there's work. It's going to take work, but it's something that could be growing and building. So something that is intended for out there in the world, but at the moment is it at home, you know, like in the personal space, still growing behind the scenes. You know, Mars's shoots in Taurus are just starting to emerge. So we're still in this time where we really need to give ourselves as much as possible what we need. And that actually brings me to the tarot cards that I pulled for today, which I just left over here. Let me just grab them for you. For today's reading, there we go. I pulled 3 cards, and they were just, you know, they just felt so perfect. The first card I pulled was the High Priestess, and that felt really, you know, so potent and pertinent, because the story of the High Priestess in Greek mythology is that she is Persephone, who was abducted by Pluto, although he is named Hades in that expression of his personality as the abductor of Persephone. He is the god of death and the lord of the underworld. And he is associated with domination and trauma and, you know, the really dark stuff. But he is also Pluto. But Pluto is the name for Hades / Pluto as the loving husband of Persephone, because although she was abducted by him, she volunteered to stay. She accepted a gift of pomegranate seeds, and she became the queen of the underworld and gained all her power. Previously, she had been the daughter of Demeter, the goddess of earth, and she hadn't been able to express her full power. It was only by leaving her mother, entering the underworld, the realm of death, but also of riches. Pluto means riches. In entering that underworld, she became who she was meant to become. That is Pluto now as well. And that's a really pertinent message. If any of those deep wounds are triggered for us, if our traumas are reignited in conversations or in interactions or just through, you know, the feelings that come up for us right now, it's really important to remember this beautiful, beautiful Persephone energy, the High Priestess energy, which is saying, trust this process. What's coming up now is profound. It's plutonic. Something is being transformed here, and it may feel really painful, but only really painful, most painful when we resist it. If we go with it and say, okay, there is something here for me. What is it? Our intuition leads us to the gold. The gold in this experience, in our traumas, in our wounds, they are the things that make us who we want to become. The High Priestess is just saying to us, listen to your intuition. Go in and ask the questions you want to know of yourself. Connect to that cosmic intelligence. Our intuition is part of that cosmic intelligence of which we are a thread. So I absolutely love this. Remember, anything plutonic and triggery and traumatic has this magic inside it. I just love it. The second card I pulled is equally interesting. It's the Emperor. So this process of going through these kind of platonic upheavals, the coming, you know, chaos and potential sort of personal and collective revolutionary energy that's going to emerge with Uranus and Mars, with Mars squaring those planets and, you know, everything, all these energies are building us towards our own inner authority. The Emperor inhabits his power in the world. We want to avoid the kind of imperial energy that is dominating. You know, again, that comes back to that plutonic energy, but also the Emperor is ruled by Mars, ruled by Aries. And so we want to avoid that lower expression of Martian energy, which is, you know, reactive, dominating, oppressive, warlike. What we want to be doing is owning our inner authority, trusting our power, however it's manifest. It is still emerging slowly in this time, but we have to trust that we are a thread in that cosmic intelligence, and we therefore have the right to rule our own lives. And we are. So what we want to be doing is more and more consciously choosing how we direct the trajectory of our lives according to what we really want. Mars is what we want. But there's definitely a maturing process and a coming into power process that happens through these challenges that kind of, you know, we would prefer not to deal with, you know. That's the crazy paradox, is that this much longed for transformation that each of us have been hoping for within ourselves and within the world, it can't happen without the challenges that force us to make those changes, because there's something about human nature. We just won't change what doesn't absolutely have to be changed when it's a big thing. The next card that I pulled, I really love as well. It's just such perfect cards for this moment. It's the Eight of Pentacles. And this is saying to us exactly what I've already been saying. We just got to keep doing the work, but it's got to be work that we love. Focusing our attention on something that we love, that we really want to manifest in the world, that we really, really care about. You know, when that Mars energy and that Plutonic Mercurial energy is triggered and we feel really angry and reactive in a certain situation, you know, maybe Mars wants to smash someone over the head for being incredibly rude to them. But that's not what Mars really wants. You know, he's just reacting that way because that's what's triggering it right there. But what does he really want? He wants like a really loving and awesome relationship with that person if they're a significant other. He knows what he wants. Mars, you know what you want. You know what you want. So how can you do this work in this energy? Look at him. He is so happy, just doing his thing. This card is also associated with the story of Daedalus in Greek mythology, who prior to this was in a position of enormous financial stability. Things were going real well for him, and he was making good coin, and he had a really good job. He worked for the king, you know, all was well. And then he was given a divine opportunity. He was offered a divine opportunity, and he had to make a choice. And this is where we are too. We are having to make a choice about what we're going to align our energy towards, how we're going to use our energy, and how we're going to use the energies that we're encountering in our lives at the moment. This is saying work towards what you love and what is meaningful to you, and, you know, take it in the spirit of play. Like, he's just loving it. He has, you know, lost everything to follow this divine opportunity, and he has to start again. And that's kind of where we are after 2020. I think a lot of people are bringing new ideas out into the world, those tiny little shoots that are just piercing through the ground. And we just got to keep watering and watering and working and pruning and building and making and, you know, just doing the work in a spirit of play. He doesn't have a workshop anymore. He's just under a tree, you know, and he is happy as Larry. That is a beautiful sign for us as well. Just focus on what you love and keep working. Just trust that things are going to emerge slowly, because Mars is in Taurus. Taurus is the slowest sign. It grows like plants, slowly but surely. So yeah, that is really, really lovely energy. And we are going to be able to work with the material that's coming if we have some kind of special project of our own to work on. And, you know, again, it's like whatever that is to you, but it's something that can channel your energy and your attention. When Venus is in Capricorn, this is, you know, coming on the galactic center, but when she moves into Capricorn especially, because Capricorn is a sign that wants to retreat and processes emotions through the channel of some kind of project. I'm a Capricorn sun, I'm an artist, I deal with all of the stuff that comes up for me through making artwork. You know, you often find people who are Capricorns, whether they're writing or building or doing some kind of, you know, they're really into projects. So we want to bring a little bit of that energy into January. It's going to help to buffer us as well from some of the energy that we are going to be encountering. It's going to be a kind of a wild ride for the next couple of weeks, guys. And self-care is really, really so important right now. Mars, you know, in Taurus wants to get outside and be active. You know, gardening is a really great thing to do now as well. If you're a gardener, great time for it. And yeah, use that Platonic material for its magical, transformative potential. I'm going to give you a look at that beautiful priestess again. Wow, she just, you know, just gives me zings all over right now. I'm really feeling it. And I am wishing you all so much power and love in these extraordinary processes that are unfolding for each of us and for all of us collectively. And I hope you can tune into the magic, listen to your intuition, trust that you've got this. You have got this. And it's going to be amazing. There are going to be some amazing things that are going to come out of this time. So yeah, big love, and I'll be back with another update next week. All right, much love, beautiful friends. See ya.